We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on Andor, Season 2, Episode 11, Who Else Knows? The episode is rated TV-14, so will this video be? Like all other videos I've done on this show so far, I absolutely love this episode. There will be spoilers for the episode and everything Star Wars leading up to it. Holy crap. Yeah. I can hardly wait to see the finale, which right now I expect to do Monday. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was left more than a little speechless when I saw that BLR put out their slightly belated celebration video. I forget the exact title, but Battle of Breeding something something, Return of the Jedi. Amazing video. Absolutely go watch it if you haven't already. Anyway, on this show, yeah, holy crap. Okay, so yeah, Dedra is in one of those interrogation cells that Cyril found himself in Season 1, and, you know, Krennic turns off the cameras, and just such a wonderful scene, just him walking, you know, who else knows about this, you know, and the thing about, you know, if you're not a rebel spy, you've missed your calling. You know, no, an actual rebel spy couldn't have done as much damage as you have. You know, and apparently, according to IMDb trivia, and I know sometimes you can't trust it, even if it isn't, but apparently, the finger on top of the head, that was not scripted. And I can totally see it, because it's one of those things, like, if you're gonna, like, slap, you know, one of the other actors, you're gonna want to have a conversation, you know. But yeah, like a finger, it's enough that, you know, it's off-putting, and her reaction does feel genuine. The actress is, you know, it's not gonna hurt her, and it's not really causing, like, physical pain, maybe a little discomfort. And yeah, it's a power move. You know, he's like, you know, does this bug you? I'm touching you. You know, he can do that. And yeah, the Empire has always fallen. The evil Galactic Empire, and I know I just said it just was it last? It wasn't many, you know, episodes ago, in my video on that episode. The evil Galactic Empire fails because of their ego. They are simply too convinced that they can't fail. And here we see, yeah, bureaucracy. Like, literally, she even points it out. You tortured him to death, and I didn't get the information. I could have delivered Axis so long ago. He was right under our noses. We had the information, but you didn't get it to me. And you know, in real life, yeah, sometimes fascism fails. You know, sadly, sometimes it can be scary efficient. You know, the Holocaust, scary efficient. You know, and yeah, I wonder how many. Yeah, I'm not going to go off on a whole thing. I guess I'll just briefly say the Holocaust absolutely does not justify the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza that the Israeli government is carrying out right now, which is also scary efficient. Anyway, yes, the, you know, other times, yeah, fascism can be incredibly incompetent. Hitler got jealous of his own generals. Like, dude, it's their success is your success. You know, like, it's not like, you know, you win the war, you conquer the world, and then someone's like, I don't know, I mean, I feel like this Hitler guy didn't actually conquer that much without generals. That's what they're there for. They have the education, you know, but he got too jealous of them, so he decided to order something or other, I forget the details, and it was a significant loss for the Nazis, you know. And yeah, that's what we're seeing here, that for all their efficiency at times, yeah, you know, they didn't think that maybe we should get this information to the people actually actively looking for the person that we just got an incredibly important piece of information about. Like, that's it. Yeah. And she said, I had to become a scavenger. And I love that this is also a sort of, like, it's a soft kind of, I guess not rebellion, but like, she's trying to get some control. The Empire thought, when they tortured and killed her parents and, raised her as one of their own under the Empire, to be a good Imperial little worker ant, a drone, they thought they would have full control of her. But part of what they taught her was secrecy. Like, at some point she realized, if my parent hadn't got caught, they would still be alive. She agrees with what the Empire is doing, but not completely with their methods. And yeah, I think there is a very real chance she's going to be executed by the Empire for the crime of being too eager to do her job and like going outside of the rules. Because bureaucrats and a lot of fascists, and I'm not saying all bureaucrats are fascists, absolutely not, but there is a lot of bureaucracy under fascist rule, and yeah, like the rules are more important than anything else. How dare you go to this, do this to help us? No. When that red balloon crossed, okay, it's technically not fascism, but dictatorship. When that red balloon, flew, you were supposed to order World War III, and the fact that you didn't, yeah, you are. You no longer have this position. Sure, you averted nuclear fallout, mutually assured destruction, but you didn't do your job. We told you, just, yeah. And that's actually, as hard as she's worked and as close as she got, just, yeah. And because that is the thing, like, and this isn't just fascism, dictatorships in general, a lot of the time are their own worst enemy. They crumble from within for the reasons I've already discussed. I feel like I'm starting to repeat myself here, so I'm just going to move on. But yeah, just fantastic. Yeah, and Dedra later in a cell, and, I appreciate, like, her hair is still, like, mostly fine, but there's a little bit of stray, and yeah, I know, I want to talk, but yeah. A little bit of stray, she used to be completely prim and proper all of the time, but, we're seeing just a little bit, and yeah, Hirt walks up. I forget if I've mentioned before, maybe I didn't realize until this episode, he has such, like, I feel bad for the actor. I hope this doesn't, like, cost him, roles where he's playing someone more sympathetic that he wants to play or something, but my God, his Nazi face is just so perfect. Just yeah. But yeah, he walks up and she's like, "Is this a test?" She can't even imagine this. What are you doing? No, this isn't. No. And yeah, the thing about he's not quite sure what to do, and she's like, go by the radio, but she's probably already gone. Yeah. Right. Not a lot other with Krennic, so I'll finish off the yeah, that was really cool. Him in the ISB, and part of guys being like this, what he said, I'm just, don't look at me, and the thing of, and part of guys suggests, she's infectious, because even if you might agree with the rebellion, you're not gonna want to screw with, no, she's infectious. I could save lives by making sure that the Empire finds her in time, just a very, very clever little bit of just, and yeah, they default to misinformation, to propaganda, just immediately, and also just, yeah, the guy's like, I don't know, what is the charge? Sedition, murder, all of the above, just like he's genuinely out of his depth here, and yeah, Right. I also appreciate Dedra knew. You know, he here walks up and she's like, "Luthen's dead, isn't he?" I also quite appreciate when talking to Krennic, she's like, "I mean, within days, I can have him talking." That's not what you said earlier. Earlier, you said, let's see, I think it was by tonight or by tomorrow morning or something like that, you know. But with Krennic, she's like, he's going to actually hold me to it, you know. The other one was just to hear it off her back, you know. And yeah, you know, Krennic being like, there you go. He just said, "What are you still doing here?" You know, just fantastic. Just, yeah. Yeah, I care about a clock. I do appreciate, you know, occasionally when he gets really passionate, Ben Mendelsohn's accent does slip through. I don't know, it's not a problem, you know. Sure, Krennic is from the Star Wars equivalent, I want to say Australia, you know, sometimes, you know, he's worked on, you know, neutralizing his accent, but sometimes it slips through, just, yeah. I gotta find something else to watch Ben Mendelsohn in after I watch the finale. Just yeah. But then I guess that goes for pretty much every major main cast member here. Just such fantastic performances. Okay. Yeah, this episode also had some really great camera work. I love the little bit where like the troops are on their way, and you see like the some of a gun, and you see like their boots on the floor, and just these little details, little touches that put you right there, you know. Right, there's not an awful lot to say about Wilmon, so I guess I will just briefly, yeah, the thing about, you know, he goes to talk to I'm sorry, I cannot keep track of all these names, and it's too bad to look it up right now. Yeah, his Gorman girlfriend, his girlfriend, and you know, she's like, what are you hiding under the bed? And he's like, I was just keeping those for a friend. Oh, you mean the radio, right? Yeah. How long? I don't know. No, how long ago did it stop? You know, and she's like, Wilmon, what is going on? You know, and yeah, and he brings it to Kaz, and you know, immediately he's like, this is against the rules, and just yeah, and yeah, he ends up, you know, what was it, like remanded to a cell, I think was the order. Yeah, let's see. So obviously I got to talk about. Yeah, I think that pretty much right. There's a little bit more with Hirt. Did not think the episode needed to. I have to wonder if maybe originally some of these scenes were not in the same episode. I don't think the episode needed two quirky, like, what's the word? Like, well, let's see. You know, one of them is looking at the radio that is no longer functioning, and the other one is looking at surveillance footage of the hospital. You know, I don't think both of them needed to be quirky. I chuckled at both of them. I'm not, you know, I will grant that, but it was a little too close in my opinion. But yeah, the thing with, you know, she's trying to hide. Trying? Succeeded? She hasn't. And yeah, the thing about it was just one, no team, not three, you know, just like, never tell anyone this, you know, do not tell anyone that we were outsmarted by one person, you know. And yeah, also the thing about, you know, the guy who runs the hospital, he's like, these are my patients, you cannot tell me whether or not I can admit someone. And here it's just like, have him arrested. Because that's fascism, you know. It doesn't, like, hypothetically, if the guy kept putting up a fight and was arrested, does anybody get to run the hospital in his stead? Because they didn't replace Dedra on the hospital floor, you know. So just, I don't know, people die, I guess, because the guy was being difficult, you know. The disrespecting the authorities. That's again a huge sign of fascism. If it is treated as awful to question something that is obviously unfair that an authority figure is carrying out, you know. And fortunately, the guy's like, okay, you've made your point, fine. Let's see, I think... Right, and also you know, oh, but this is an ISB crime scene. Yeah, and whose fault is that? Like, if Dedra hadn't, you know, done such a bad job, I'm glad she did, but if she hadn't done such a bad job confronting Luthen, that was also great, you know. You're so passionate about this job, and yet you confronted Luthen, you know, in this haphazard manner. I think that might just about cover here. Yeah, the thing about, oh yeah, you know, he fried all the contacts, and you know, the detail that, oh yeah, they were using, I forget if that's been mentioned on the show, but they were using the Empire's own, you know, and that is a thing that's happened in real life, in historical, like, you know, espionage and such. Sometimes they'll use the enemy's equipment against them. I believe, oh god, yeah, the thing about, you know, the radio, you know, suddenly the thing lights up and, oh, we can track this. I just and yeah, let's lighten the load, I mean the mood. I really loved seeing the unholy trinity, the you know, Cass, Melshi, and Kay, who is not Kay with losing, you know, sitting there playing. And the thing with, you know, I think that's the Revnog talking, and yeah, you know, he's like, but this is impossible to calculate these odds. We have played this game 893 times. That is plenty to you know, that is a very healthy representative sample, and you know, these just, yeah, and it's so nice to see Cass happy. We so rarely get to see him happy for very long, you know, but yeah, and the game, I think they did just enough to make it that we can follow it, because they say, you know, you don't have any 10s left. Okay, so he needs 10s. I guess maybe he needs more than 10, because that's, Melshi had 10 10s, I think. So, you know, it's just enough. We don't need to understand the finer points, and, you know, a lesser piece of media. That's something Star Wars has always been good at. You know, you don't have to explain everything. Just make it legible. Just, you know, make sure that we understand the gist of what's going on. Who's winning, who's losing. That's enough. We really don't need a full breakdown, you know. I am not the right person to judge, but I just wanted to underline, because I did definitely notice. Kay was like talking about, you know, like odds and such, and saying, you know, that's an interesting wager and these kinds of things. And then Cass, and maybe this is because he's drunk, because like usually he treats droids well, and they are, I do appreciate, they are basically treating Kay as just one of the guys. You know, they're playing of the, you know, this game. You know, they're not treating him like, you know, think of all the times that droids in Star Wars have been treated like just machines, even though they're established from right away. Like A New Hope, as soon as we meet 3PO and R2, we see they actually have emotion. They're not just, you know, programmed. Yeah, if you haven't already, Pop Culture Detectives, The Tragedy of Droids in Star Wars. Amazing video. But yeah, Cass says, Melshi, be careful that Kay doesn't droid you, or something to that effect. And it's also clear, you know, the Kay responds like it is, like, that's a, I don't know if I'm okay with you saying that. You know, that's a, and it's one of those things, because like sometimes when you're with friends, you can do that kind of thing. And it definitely feels. I mean, we just there was that woman just recently. Did she end up getting an entire million? She definitely got close, if not. For saying the N-word multiple times, you know, so it's still, and she specifically said, you know, I called him what he was. So to her, N-word is basically a thief who's African American, you know, which, like, I don't know enough to say, like, some people have questioned, did the kid actually steal anything, or did she just see an African American kid and assume, you know, but hypothetically, if it happened, yeah, you know, I get not wanting someone stealing from you. It was apparently like from the diaper bag, so, you know, it's, yeah, it feels like a violation if it happened. The word thief is right there. You don't have to use a racial slur, but yeah, that's, you know, where my mind kind of goes when he says, because that's also, I've heard, let's see, I think it's especially with with Jewish people, and also, let's see, Romani, you know, there's a couple of different, you know, well, where they'll use the ethnic identity as an insult, as like, oh, you know how those people are. So I don't. What I'll say is, I'll leave it up to you know, I'm white, as you can probably see quite clearly. I hope I'm not like, it's not like overwhelming you. You know, like, you can close your eyes while you're watching my videos. That's okay. So I'm not the right person. So nobody has ever, you know, used a, you know, ethnic slur against me. One person did try once, said that they thought I looked Jewish, and I responded quite simply, I mean, if you think I look Jewish, okay, I'm not Jewish, I wouldn't mind if I were, but you're clearly anti-Semitic, and that's worse, so there's nothing wrong with being Jewish. Anyway, yeah, because the thing is, Star Wars sometimes shows something, maybe especially with, like, Tony Gilroy at the helm, will sometimes show something that's not okay, and we're not supposed to think it's okay, but it is communicating, yeah, you know, sometimes this happens, you know, and yeah, I mean, Cass has done things that are not really okay, so him saying this kind of thing, yeah, maybe it's not supposed to be okay, maybe it is just saying, you know, even him, even as well as he treats B2, you know, there is still some of that. You know, there was also, I guess that wasn't last episode, because I don't think he was in last episode. Maybe the one before that, he said, you know, we aren't droids. You know, as like, you know, you have to let us be human beings, which again is, yeah. And that was also something Jesse Gender called out, you know, so I don't know if it's supposed to be representative. It feels weird for it to be not supposed to be commenting on it, but I don't know. I leave that to, you know, ethnic minorities to comment on. I think that does get us back into the sad stuff, though, because, yeah, they gotta go to Coruscant. And, you know, again, there's like, well, I don't know, just say it's a very unfortunate training exercise, I guess. And they get there, and the radio, and they get to Clea, and this thing, you know, and she keeps repeating, and just, yeah. And she doesn't want to go to Yavin because of their opinion of Luthen, and she doesn't want to, you know, and it is this, like, he said, you know where to go. He didn't say, you know, just go use the radio. He said, go, you know, like, go to Yavin. You know, you actually have to leave Coruscant. It is not safe. But without him, and it's, you know, it's not denigrating her, especially not as a woman, or even as a young person, but yeah, you know, sometimes younger people, you know, need guidance, especially if they've had, you know, he's guided her for so many years, you know, and now he's just gone, and she doesn't really know how, yeah, and yeah, she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life surrounded by people who think that the man who saved her life is just, I want her to go to Yavin, but I get why she doesn't want to go. Just, yeah. such an amazing performance. I gotta see more that she's in. I saw on Reddit. Yes, I know a lot of garbage on Reddit, but some stuff is quite good. Someone on like a Star Wars Reddit was like, look at this queen, and yeah, like seriously, she's. I swear, this show has some of the best characters of Star Wars. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the entire conversation and Cassian desperately trying to convince her and also the thing about, you owe him that. And just, yeah. And the Empire is just getting closer and closer, and we get the little it's the wrong room. It's one floor up, and they're right there, and it's I can hardly wait. I'm so looking forward to seeing the finale. Yeah, I really liked Kay. The thing. I've actually been counting how many orders you've ignored. Would you like to know? It's 17, and now it's 18. Yeah, and the thing. I've been to Coruscant. Yeah. 200 KX droids marching. The Emperor was there. And Cass is like, I guess I missed that. Yeah, with every blaster bolt so far. And yeah, him just, for a while he's like, oh, this is bad. This is not good. The radio is not turning on. And he just walks down there, and someone radios back to, did we request a KX unit? I don't think so. And suddenly just walks up and he's like, "Are you with us?" No, and just knocks the dude over. That's amazing. I mean, asked and answered, Your Honor. And he goes into the ship and start taking those guys out, and just he's definitely going to. I'm really glad he joined, because they would not be able to get out of there alive without his help. Oh boy, yeah. And they have to leave us on the cliffhanger. The soldiers are right there. There's yeah. I think that might be, yeah. I think the next time that I'm worried that I'm going to forget something, my new mnemonic device is going to be picturing Clea, shouting, "Say it!"